The purple sky over Harvest Point never looked quite right to Lily. Even after living there for 3 years, she still remembered how blue Earth sky was in the pictures her grandmother sent. Here on this outer rim colony, everything had a violet tinge that made the world feel strange and lonely. She sat cross-legged on her bedroom floor, moving her toy spaceship across the scratched tiles. Her hollow teacher had finished lessons an hour ago, and now the empty afternoon stretched ahead like it always did. No friends to call, no neighbors to visit, just the constant hum of the terraforming station and her parents working somewhere in the maze of corridors below. Lily was 8 years old and couldn't remember the last time she'd talked to another kid her age. The colony only had 47 people, and most of them were engineers or scientists too busy keeping everyone alive on this barely habitable rock. Her parents tried their best. They really did. But maintaining life support systems didn't leave much time for playing pretend or reading stories. She walked to her window and pressed her hand against the cool glass. In the distance, the terraforming towers pumped atmosphere into the thin air, their lights blinking in steady rhythm. Beyond them, nothing but purple-tinted rocks and dust for hundreds of miles. Dinner that night was the usual Nutri-Paste with synthetic vegetables. Her father scrolled through maintenance reports on his datapad, while her mother reviewed oxygen production levels. They smiled at her when she told them about her lessons, but Lily could see their minds were elsewhere. Another filtration unit was failing. The solar panels needed recalibration. Always something breaking, always something to fix. After dinner, Lily asked if she could go to the roof observation deck. Her mother hesitated, then nodded. It was safe enough. The deck was enclosed, and Lily knew not to touch any of the equipment. She climbed the metal stairs, her footsteps echoing in the empty stairwell. The observation deck was her favorite place in the whole colony. It had clear panels on all sides and above, giving a perfect view of the sky. At night, the stars were so bright and thick that they looked like spilled sugar. Lily settled into her usual spot in the corner, pulling her knees to her chest. She watched the stars and tried to imagine what other worlds looked like. Were there kids on those distant planets? Did they have friends? Did they ever feel this hollow ache inside their chest? A transport ship passed overhead, its engines leaving a brief trail across the sky. Lily wondered where it was going. Somewhere exciting, probably. Somewhere with more than 47 people and broken air filters. She closed her eyes and did something she hadn't done in a long time. She made a wish. Not to the stars exactly, because stars were just burning gas and couldn't grant wishes, but maybe to the universe itself, to whatever force kept everything spinning and moving through the darkness. I just want one friend, she whispered. Just one person who understands me. Someone to talk to. Someone who actually wants to spend time with me. Her voice sounded small in the quiet deck. She felt silly immediately after saying it. Wishes didn't come true. That was baby stuff. But then something happened that a bright streak appeared in the sky, brighter than any ship she'd ever seen. It moved fast, cutting through the atmosphere at an angle that made her stomach twist. That wasn't a normal flight path. That was something falling. The streak grew larger, and Lily realized with shock that it was heading straight for the colony. She pressed against the glass, watching as the object screamed overhead. It hit the solar panel array on the east side with a metallic crash that shook the entire building. Alarms should have gone off. Emergency lights should have activated. But nothing happened. Either the impact wasn't detected or the sensors were broken like everything else. Lily knew she should tell someone. She should run downstairs and get her parents. But curiosity pulled at her like gravity. What if it was dangerous? What if someone was hurt? She slipped out of the observation deck and made her way along the maintenance catwalk. The solar array was technically off limits, but Lily had explored every inch of this colony out of pure boredom. She knew where to step and which panels were loose. The damaged section was easy to find. 3 panels were completely destroyed, their fragments scattered across the roof. In the center of the wreckage, tangled in wiring and twisted metal, was something alive. Lily approached slowly, her heart hammering. The creature was small, maybe the size of her old cat back on Earth. It had scales that caught the starlight and shifted through colors like oil on water. 2 tiny wings were folded against its body, crumpled and bent. A long tail wrapped around its legs, and its eyes, large and golden, stared at her with pure terror. Blood the color of copper leaked from a gash along its side. The creature made a sound somewhere between a whimper and a chirp, trying to pull itself free from the wires, but too weak to move. Lily recognized it immediately from her xenobiology lessons. A Drakari hatchling. She'd seen images in her educational programs. They were classified as dangerous megafauna. Hostile species. Keep distance if encountered. But this one wasn't dangerous. It was scared and hurt and alone. Just like her. Lily knelt down and carefully began untangling the wires. The creature flinched but didn't try to bite or scratch. Its scales were warm under her fingers, almost hot. When she finally freed it from the debris, she pulled off her jacket and wrapped the small dragon inside. That it weighed almost nothing. Its heart beat rapidly against her chest as she held it close. Those golden eyes looked up at her, and Lily felt something shift inside her chest. A connection, an understanding. "It's okay," she whispered. "I've got you. You're safe now." She carried her new friend inside, already knowing she couldn't tell anyone. Not yet. First, she had to make sure it survived. The dragon made a soft peeping sound and nestled deeper in her jacket. For the first time in 3 years, Lily didn't feel alone. Hiding a dragon in her bedroom turned out to be harder than Lily expected. The little creature refused to stay still, constantly chirping and trying to follow her everywhere. She'd set it down on her bed while she grabbed her medical kit, and by the time she turned around, it had somehow gotten tangled in her blankets. "You have to be quiet," Lily whispered, carefully unwrapping the dragon from the sheets. "If my parents hear you, they'll take you away." The dragon tilted its head, those golden eyes studying her face. It made a softer sound, almost like a question. Lily took that as understanding, even though she knew it probably didn't speak any human language. She opened her emergency medical kit, the one every colonist kept for accidents. Inside were bandages, antiseptic gel, and basic wound sealant. Her hand shook as she examined the gash along the dragon's side. It wasn't as deep as she'd feared, but it was still bleeding. The dragon whimpered when she applied the antiseptic. Lily felt tears sting her eyes. She hated hurting it, even if she was trying to help. She worked as gently as possible, cleaning the wound and then carefully applying the sealant. The gel turned clear as it bonded with the scales, forming a protective barrier. "There," she said softly. "That should help." The dragon looked at the sealed wound, then back at Lily. It chirped once, a sound that somehow felt like gratitude. Then it curled up in her lap and closed its eyes. Lily named him Pip because of the peeping sounds he made. It felt right somehow. Not too fancy or complicated. Just Pip. Over the next 3 days, Lily fell into a strange routine. She attended her hollow lessons while Pip slept under her bed. During mealtimes, she'd eat quickly and then sneak extra food back to her room. The colony's nutri paste looked disgusting, but maybe dragons ate anything. Pip sniffed the paste, made a disgusted snort, and refused to touch it. He also rejected the synthetic vegetables and the protein bars. By the second day, he was clearly getting weaker, his scales losing some of their shine. Lily panicked. What did baby dragons eat? Her educational programs had mentioned Drakari, but never covered their diet. She racked her brain, trying to remember anything useful. They were predators, right? That meant meat. The colony had a biological research freezer where they kept samples of native creatures for study. Lily had seen it once when her mother took her on a tour. It was in the lower level, past the hydroponics bay. If she could just grab a few samples, maybe that would work. She waited until late at night when both her parents were asleep. The colony was quiet except for the ever-present hum of machinery. Lily crept through the corridors, her heart pounding so loud she was sure someone would hear it. The research lab was unlocked. Nobody worried much about security in a colony this small. The freezer hummed in the corner, its display showing dozens of sample containers. Lily grabbed 3 small ones labeled as native protein samples and shoved them in her pockets. Back at her room, she thawed one sample under warm water. It looked like raw meat, purple tinted like everything else on this planet. She offered it to Pip nervously. The dragon's eyes lit up. He gobbled the meat in seconds, his tail wagging like a happy puppy. Lily laughed quietly, relief flooding through her. At least now she knew how to keep him fed. As Pip grew stronger, Lily discovered just how smart he was. He learned to recognize her footsteps and would hide under the bed when he heard anyone else approaching. He understood when she told him to be quiet. He even seemed to understand the concept of danger point one night. Lily woke up to find Pip's scales glowing softly in the dark. She reached out to touch his head, wondering if he was okay. And suddenly her mind filled with images that weren't her own. She saw a massive ship, its hull decorated with swirling patterns. She saw other dragons, larger and magnificent, flying through corridors wide enough to fit buildings. She felt fear, sharp and terrible, as explosions rocked the ship. Then she was tumbling through space in a tiny pod, alone and terrified, falling toward an unknown world. Lily gasped and pulled her hand back. The images faded. Pip was looking at her with those knowing eyes, and she understood. He was showing her his memories. He was explaining what happened. "You're not from here," she whispered. "You got separated from your family." Pip made a sad sound and pressed against her side. Lily wrapped her arms around him, feeling his warmth. She showed him her own memories in return, though she didn't know if it would work. She thought about her loneliness, about wishing for a friend, about how happy she was to have found him. Pip's scales shifted to warm golden colors. Somehow, Lily knew he understood. They didn't need words. The connection between them went deeper than language. From that night on, their bond grew stronger. Lily would think about something, and Pip would respond before she even spoke. He'd show her memories of his home world, beautiful crystal mountains where dragons soared in huge groups. She'd show him Earth, the blue sky and green grass she barely remembered. But on the fourth day, everything changed. Lily came back for breakfast to find her mother standing in her doorway, staring at something under her bed. Pip had fallen asleep in plain sight instead of hiding properly. Her mother's face went pale. She backed away slowly, her hand reaching for her communicator. "Lily," her mother said, her voice shaking. "Step away from that thing. Right now." Lily moved between her mother and Pip, spreading her arms wide. "No, he's not dangerous. He's my friend. That's a Drakari," her mother said. "They're hostile. They're dangerous. We need to call security. He's just a baby," Lily pleaded. "He's hurt and scared. Please don't take him away." But her mother was already calling for help, her voice urgent and afraid. Lily heard her father's heavy footsteps running up the stairs. Everything was about to fall apart. Lily's father burst into the room, his face a mixture of shock and fear. He saw Pip curled behind Lily's legs and immediately pulled her mother back into the hallway. 3 other colonists appeared moments later, drawn by the commotion. News traveled fast in a settlement of 47 people. "Everyone stay calm," her father said, though his voice betrayed his own panic. "Lily, honey, we need you to come out here slowly." "No," Lily said firmly. She'd never defied her parents like this before, but she couldn't let them take Pip. "You don't understand. He's not going to hurt anyone." Behind her, Pip made a nervous chirping sound. His scales flickered between colors, settling on a dark blue that Lily had learned meant fear. She reached back without looking, and his warm head pressed into her palm. Officer Wei arrived with 2 other security personnel, carrying equipment that looked designed for capturing animals. The tall man had always been kind to Lily, letting her visit the security office to see the monitoring systems. But now his face was all business. "Miss Chun, I need you to step aside," Officer Wei said gently. "We'll handle this safely. Nobody has to get hurt." "He's already hurt," Lily said, her voice breaking. "I found him crashed on the roof. He was bleeding and scared. I helped him because nobody else would have." Her mother knelt down in the hallway, trying to meet Lily's eyes. "Sweetheart, we know you meant well, but Drakari are classified as dangerous. There are protocols for this. We have to follow the rules." "Your rules are stupid," Lily shot back, surprising herself with her own anger. "He's just a baby. He needs help, not to be locked up or sent away." Officer Wei activated his tranquilizer weapon, a device that would put the dragon to sleep without killing it. He moved slowly toward the doorway, and Lily's heart raced. She could see what was about to happen. They'd take Pip away, probably put him in some kind of containment, contact the authorities. She'd never see him again. Pip sensed the threat too. He stepped out from behind Lily, placing his small body between her and the approaching security team. His scales flashed red, and a low rumble came from his throat. Despite being no bigger than a house cat, he was trying to protect her. "Don't you dare," Lily warned Officer Wei. "He's defending me because he thinks you're going to hurt me. Can't you see he's intelligent?" The security officer hesitated, his weapon still raised. Something in Pip's stance, the way the small dragon stood guard over the child, made him pause. It wasn't the behavior of a mindless beast. Then the alarms started blaring. Everyone froze. The emergency sirens meant only one thing: external threat detected. The entire colony only had basic sensors for incoming ships and weather systems. Those alarms almost never went off. Officer Wei pressed his communicator. "Security to control. What's happening?" A panicked voice responded. "We've got multiple contacts entering orbit. Big ones. They just appeared on our sensors, and they're not responding to hails." Lily's father ran toward the control center. Her mother grabbed Lily's arm, tried to pull her away from the room, but Lily held onto the doorframe. Pip stayed close, his body tense. The colony's communications system crackled to life, broadcasting through every speaker. A voice spoke in the common galactic language, which Lily's translator implant automatically converted to English. The voice was deep and resonant, with an accent she'd never heard before. "This is Scout Commander Rena of the Drakari clan fleet. We have detected one of our young on this world. Return him to us unharmed, and there will be no conflict. Harm him, and you will face the consequences." Silence fell over the colony. Lily heard her mother's sharp intake of breath. Officer Wei lowered his weapon slowly, his face pale. Director Hayes, the colony administrator, came running down the corridor. She was a short woman who usually spent her days buried in reports and supply manifests. Now she looked terrified. "Where is it?" Hayes demanded. "Where's the Drakari?" Everyone pointed to Lily's room. Hayes pushed past the security team and saw Pip standing protectively in front of Lily. The director's face cycled through several emotions before settling on grim determination. "Okay," Hayes said, breathing hard. "Okay, we need to handle this very carefully. These ships could destroy us in seconds. We have no weapons, no shields, nothing." "They want him back," Lily said quietly. "They're his family. They've been looking for him." Hayes stared at her. "How do you know that?" Lily touched Pip's head, and the dragon's scales glowed softly. Through their connection, she felt his memories, his fear when the ship was attacked, his desperate hope that his family would find him. "He showed me," Lily said simply. "He got separated when their ship was attacked by raiders. His escape pod crashed here. He's been waiting for them." Officer Wei stepped forward. "Director, the child has been keeping this creature for days. She's clearly had contact with it. Maybe she should be the one to talk to them." "Absolutely not," Lily's mother said. "She's 8 years old. We're not putting her in that position." But Hayes was already thinking, her eyes calculating. The colony had no leverage, no way to negotiate. But they had something the Drakari wanted. And they had a child who had apparently formed some kind of bond with their missing young. "Can you communicate with him?" Hayes asked Lily. "Really communicate?" Lily nodded. "Sort of. We share feelings and pictures. He understands me." Hayes made a decision. "Then you're going to help us. We'll allow one of their ships to land. You'll return their young, and we'll try to explain what happened. Maybe if they see you kept him safe, they won't be angry." "They're already angry," Lily said, feeling Pip's anxiety through their bond. "But they're also really worried. They've been searching for days." Above them, the Drakari fleet waited in orbit, massive and powerful. In the colony below, a little girl stood with a baby dragon, about to bridge the gap between two species who had never met before. The landing pad had never been used for anything bigger than supply shuttles. Now it trembled under the weight of a Drakari ship descending from orbit. The vessel was beautiful and terrifying at the same time, its hull covered in patterns that seemed to flow like water. It was easily 10 times larger than anything the colony owned. Lily stood at the edge of the landing zone, holding Pip in her arms. Director Hayes stood beside her, trying to look calm and failing. Officer Way and a small security team flanked them, though everyone knew their weapons would be useless if things went wrong. The ship's main hatch opened with a hiss of pressure, equalizing. Lily's breath caught in her throat. 3 dragons emerged, each one massive beyond anything she'd imagined. They had to be at least 20 feet long from nose to tail, with wingspans that could cover her entire house. Their scales gleamed like polished metal, shifting through colors as they moved. The lead dragon stepped forward, and Lily felt Pip's excitement surge through their bond. The little dragon squirmed in her arms, making urgent chirping sounds. He recognized the large dragon. This was his mother. Scout Commander Rena was magnificent. Her scales were deep blue with gold accents, and her eyes were the same golden color as Pip's, but larger and more intense. She lowered her enormous head, and Lily had to force herself not to run. Those jaws could swallow her whole without effort. Rena's voice resonated through the air, and Lily's translator implant struggled to keep up with the complex language. "Where's my son? I sense him near." Lily stepped forward before anyone could stop her. Her legs shook, but she kept her voice steady. "He's here. He's safe. I've been taking care of him." All 3 dragons focused on her at once. The weight of their attention felt like physical pressure. Pip chirped loudly and wiggled free from Lily's arms, his small wings fluttering as he ran toward his mother. Rena made a sound like rolling thunder mixed with relief. She lowered herself completely to the ground, and Pip scrambled up her leg to press his small head against her snout. The 2 dragons stayed like that for a long moment, and Lily felt tears streaming down her face without realizing she was crying. The connection between Pip and her hadn't broken. Through it, she felt his overwhelming joy at seeing his mother again, his relief at being found. But she also felt something else. His sadness at leaving her. Rena's eyes opened and fixed on Lily. The massive dragon spoke again, her voice gentler now. "You are the one who saved him." "I found him on the roof," Lily said, wiping her eyes. "He was hurt and scared. I couldn't just leave him there." One of the other dragons, smaller and covered in green-tinted scales, spoke up. "Our sensors show the hatchling was injured. You provided medical treatment." Lily nodded. "I used my emergency kit. I cleaned the wound and sealed it. I didn't know what else to do." The green dragon's scales rippled with surprise. "With primitive medical supplies meant for your own species? And the young one survived? That shows remarkable adaptability." Rena moved closer to Lily, each step making the ground shake slightly. The dragon lowered her head until her eye was level with Lily's face. Lily could see her own reflection in that golden eye, small and fragile. "You could have reported him to your authorities," Rena said. "You could have feared him. Most species would have. Why did you help?" Lily thought about the question. She remembered that first night, seeing Pip tangled in the wreckage, scared and alone. She remembered the wish she'd made just minutes before finding him. "Because he needed a friend," Lily said simply. "And so did I." Rena's scales shifted to warm colors, and Lily felt something brush against her mind. The dragon was reading her memories, just like Pip could, but Rena's touch was more controlled, more gentle. She saw everything. Lily finding Pip, feeding him, hiding him, protecting him from the security team. The dragon pulled back, and her expression had changed. There was something like wonder in her eyes now. "You are very young," Rena said, "yet you showed courage that most warriors would lack. You protected my son when you had no reason to. You asked nothing in return." Director Hayes stepped forward nervously. "Commander Rena, we want to apologize for any distress caused. We had no idea the young one was here. Our sensors didn't detect the crash." Rena ignored her completely, still focused on Lily. "Most species fear the Drakari. They see us as monsters because we are large and powerful. But you saw my son as a person, as someone who needed help." The 3rd dragon, covered in silver scales, examined the wound on Pip's side with careful attention. "The medical work is crude but effective. The young one would have died without intervention. The human child saved his life. Lily's mother finally found her voice from where she stood at the edge of the landing pad. Please, our daughter meant no harm. She didn't know the proper protocols. Protocols, Rena repeated, and there was something sharp in her voice. Your protocols would have let my son die alone while you decided what rules to follow. She turned back to Lily. You ignored your species' protocols to save someone who needed help. That is true honor. Pip chirped from his mother's shoulder, his scales glowing. Through their bond, Lily felt him trying to communicate something important. He was showing his mother everything they'd shared, all the memories and feelings. He was trying to make her understand how special their friendship was. Rena's eyes widened slightly. She looked between Pip and Lily with growing understanding. You have formed a bond with my son. A true bond, not just simple affection. I don't know what that means, Lily admitted. But yes, we can feel each other's emotions. We share memories. Is that normal? No, Rena said softly. It is extremely rare. Even among my own people, such bonds are precious and uncommon. She was quiet for a moment, clearly thinking. Then she made a decision that would change everything. Rena straightened to her full height, her wings spreading slightly. The gesture made her look even more imposing. Lily Chun, daughter of Earth, you have done my clan a great service. By our laws, I owe you a debt. Name your price, and if it is within our power, it shall be yours. Director Hayes looked like she might faint. This was clearly the kind of diplomatic moment that could make or break a colony. She started to say something about trade agreements, but Rena's sharp look silenced her. The human child saved my son, Rena said firmly. She alone may claim the debt. Lily looked up at the massive dragon, then down at Pip perched on his mother's shoulder. She thought about all the things she could ask for. Her parents always worried about money and supplies. The colony needed better equipment. She could ask for technology or resources that would make everyone's life easier. But none of that mattered as much as one simple truth. I just want Pip to be happy, Lily said. That's all. I want him to be safe and healthy and with his family. That's my price. The silver dragon made a sound of surprise. The green one's scales rippled with what might have been approval. Rena stared at Lily for a long moment, her golden eyes unreadable. You asked for nothing for yourself. Rena said, no viad, no power, no advantage for your people. Lily shook her head. Pip deserves to go home. He's been worried about his family this whole time. I could feel it through our bond. He needs to be with them. Pip made a distressed sound and launched himself off Rena's shoulder. He glided awkwardly on his small wings and landed in Lily's arms, pressing his head against her chest. Through their bond, Lily felt his confusion and sadness. He didn't want to leave her either. Rena watched this display with intense focus. She turned to the other two dragons and began speaking in the Drakari language, too fast and complex for Lily's translator to follow. The three of them seemed to be having a serious discussion, occasionally glancing at Lily and Pip. Finally, Rena turned back. My son is young. He still needs his clutchmates and his family to grow properly. But the bond he has formed with you is real and valuable. To break it would harm you both. Lily felt her heart sink. She'd known Pip would have to leave, but hearing it said out loud made it hurt more. However, Rena continued, there may be another way. Lily Chun, how would you feel about visiting our homeworld? Lily blinked in surprise. What? You and your family could come to live among the Drakari for a time. 6 months, perhaps a year. Pip would be with his people, learning what he needs to learn. But you would be there as well, maintaining your bond. When the time comes, if you wish to return home, we will bring you back safely. You want us to leave the colony? Lily's mother stepped forward, her voice filled with disbelief. Our daughter is 8 years old. We can't just take her across the galaxy to live with dragons. Why not? Rena asked simply. Your colony is struggling. Your equipment fails constantly. Your child is isolated and lonely. We can provide better living conditions, education, and the companionship your daughter clearly needs. Director Hayes jumped in. This is highly irregular. We need to contact Earth's Colonial Administration. There would be paperwork, approvals, diplomatic protocols to follow. Then start following them, Rena said. We will wait in orbit for 3 of your days. That should give you time to make arrangements." She looked at Lily. "But the choice is yours, young one. Do you want to come to our world?" Lily looked at Pip, who chirped hopefully. Through their bond, she could feel his excitement at the idea of showing her his home. She could see images of crystal cities and other young dragons playing in the sky. It looked amazing and terrifying and wonderful all at once. Then she looked at her parents. Her father had his arm around her mother, both of them looking shocked and uncertain. They'd given up so much to work in this colony, trying to build a better life. How could she ask them to give up even more? "It's not just about me," Lily said quietly. "It's about my whole family. I can't make that decision alone." Rena nodded approvingly. "Wise words. Discuss it with your parents. We will wait for your answer." The next 2 days were chaos in the colony. Director Hayes was constantly on communication with Earth, trying to explain the situation to bureaucrats who couldn't quite believe what was happening. The Drakari fleet remained in orbit, a constant reminder of the choice Lily had to make. Her parents sat her down that night in their small quarters. Her father looked exhausted, and her mother's eyes were red from crying. But when they looked at Lily, there was something else there too. Understanding. "We saw how you protected that dragon," her father said. "We saw how much you care about him. We've been so focused on keeping this colony running that we didn't realize how lonely you've been." Her mother took Lily's hand. "If this is what you want, if this would make you happy, then we'll do it. We'll go to the Drakari homeworld together as a family." "But what about your work here?" Lily asked. "What about the colony?" Her father smiled sadly. "The colony will survive without us. They can send replacement engineers. But you only get one childhood, and we've already let too much of it slip away while we worried about machines and systems." "You'd really do this for me?" Lily whispered. "Of course," her mother said. "You're our daughter. You're more important than any job or colony or career. If living with dragons for a while means you'll be happy and have friends, then that's what we'll do." Lily hugged them both, tears streaming down her face. Through her bond with Pip, she could feel his joy from wherever he was on the Drakari ship. He knew the answer before she even said it. The next morning, Lily stood before the communicator and gave Director Hayes her decision. They were going to the Drakari homeworld. 2 weeks passed in a blur of preparations and farewells. The colony threw a celebration for Lily and her family, partly because they were making first contact with an alien species, and partly because everyone felt guilty for not noticing how lonely Lily had been. People she'd barely spoken to before suddenly wanted to give her gifts and advice for her journey. Director Hayes worked around the clock with Earth's colonial administration to make everything official. Lily's family would be the first human ambassadors to the Drakari homeworld, representing humanity in this new relationship. It sounded impressive, but Lily knew the truth. She was just a girl who wanted to stay friends with a dragon. The morning of departure, Lily packed her small bag with her favorite things. A picture of her grandmother from Earth. The toy spaceship she'd been playing with the night she found Pip. A blanket her mother had made. Everything else could be replaced, but these mattered. The entire colony gathered at the landing pad to see them off. Lily's parents looked nervous but determined. They'd quit their positions and handed over their duties to the replacement engineers who'd arrived on the supply ship. There was no going back now. The Drakari ship descended smoothly, its ramp extending to meet the landing pad. Rena stood at the entrance, massive and majestic. Pip sat on her shoulder, his small wings fluttering with excitement. Yes, soon as the ramp touched down, Pip launched himself toward Lily. She caught him, laughing as he chirped and nuzzled against her face. His scales were brighter than ever, glowing with happiness. "Ready for an adventure?" she whispered to him. Through their bond, she felt his enthusiastic yes. The journey to the Drakari homeworld took 3 days through something called slipspace. Lily's parents spent most of that time talking with Rena and the other Drakari crew members, learning about their culture and history. Lily learned too, but mostly she played with Pip and the other hatchlings who lived on the ship. There were 5 other young dragons in Pip's clutch group. They were all roughly the same age and size, with scales in different colors. They tumbled over each other in the ship's recreation area, practicing their gliding and testing their small fire breaths. Pip introduced Lily to each one, and though they couldn't speak to her directly, they seemed curious and friendly. One of them, a hatchling with purple scales, tried to breathe fire and accidentally singed Lily's sleeve. The little dragon looked horrified, but Lily just laughed and patted his head. Accidents happened. The purple hatchling became her second best friend after Pip, following her around and trying to protect her from imaginary dangers. Rena spent time teaching Lily about Drakari culture through shared memories. She learned that dragons valued loyalty above almost everything else. They lived in clan groups, and family bonds were sacred. The idea that Lily had protected Pip when he wasn't even her species made her a hero in Drakari eyes. "We have a concept," Rena explained one evening. "Kinkeeper." It means someone who protects family even when blood does not demand it. You are Pip's kinkeeper, and that makes you family to our entire clan. Lily didn't fully understand the weight of those words yet, but she would. When the ship finally dropped out of slip space, Lily pressed her face against the viewport and gasped. The Drakari homeworld hung before them, a planet of blues and purples with massive crystal formations visible even from orbit. Cities floated among mountain peaks, connected by bridges that seemed to be made of light. "It's beautiful," Lily breathed. "It's home," Rena said simply. The ship descended toward one of the floating cities. As they got closer, Lily could see thousands of dragons soaring between the crystal towers. Some were massive, easily 100 feet long. Others were smaller, doing aerial dances in groups. The sky was filled with wings and color. They landed on a platform in the center of Rena's clan complex. A crowd of dragons had gathered to meet them, curious about the humans who had saved one of their young. Lily felt overwhelmed by all the attention, but Pip stayed close, his presence comforting through their bond. Over the following weeks, Lily and her family settled into their new life. They were given quarters in a building designed for smaller species, with furniture and facilities sized for humans. The Drakari had clearly done research on what humans needed, though some things were still strange. The food was different, the gravity was slightly lighter, and the purple sky reminded Lily of Harvest Point. But unlike the colony, here she wasn't alone. Pip was with her every day, and the other hatchlings accepted her as part of their group. They taught her to play Drakari games that involve a lot of flying and fire breathing, though Lily had to adapt the rules since she couldn't do either. She taught them human games in return, and watching young dragons try to play hide-and-seek was hilarious. Her parents thrived too. Her father helped the Drakari improve their atmospheric processing systems, sharing human engineering techniques. Her mother worked with Drakari scientists studying cross-species communication. They were busy but happy. And most importantly, they had time for Lily now. One evening, 2 months after their arrival, the Drakari Council held a ceremony. Lily was brought before the clan elders, massive ancient dragons whose scales shimmered with age. They formally recognized her as kinkeeper and gave her a pendant made of living crystal. "This will mark you as a friend to all Drakari," the eldest dragon explained. "Anywhere in the galaxy, if you need help, call through this crystal and someone will answer." Lily held the pendant carefully, feeling its warmth. It pulsed with a soft light that matched the glow of Pip's scales. That night, she sat with Pip on a balcony overlooking the Crystal City. The stars were bright overhead, different constellations than Earth's, but equally beautiful. Below, dragons and a few humans moved through the glowing streets, two species learning to understand each other. "I wish for a friend," Lily told Pip, watching the lights. "Just one friend who understood me." And look what happened. Pip's scales glowed with contentment. Through their bond, she felt his happiness, his love, his gratitude. He showed her a memory of the night she'd found him, scared and alone. Then he showed her now, safe, happy, surrounded by family. But the most important part of the memory was Lily herself. She was in both moments, the constant that had changed everything. Lily leaned against her friend and smiled. She'd learned something important over these months. Friendship wasn't about being from the same species or speaking the same language. It was about seeing someone who needed help and choosing to care. It was about connection that went deeper than words. Her parents joined her on the balcony, and together they watched the city lights dance below. In the distance, other dragons were arriving from different systems, all interested in learning about the humans who had made peace with the Drakari. Lily's act of kindness was creating ripples that spread across the galaxy, but she didn't think about politics or history or diplomatic relations. She was just happy. Happy to have a friend. Happy to have a family. Happy to be exactly where she was supposed to be. Pip chirped softly and curled up in her lap, his warmth spreading through her. Lily closed her eyes and felt the bond between them, strong and unbreakable. She'd made a wish to the stars, and the universe had answered in the most unexpected way possible. Sometimes the best friendships came from the most impossible places. And sometimes a lonely little girl and a baby dragon were exactly what each other needed.